All right, we're good to go. Hello, everybody. Hello, and welcome to Best of Blue, hosted by the Young Alumni Council and the Alumni Association. So, I just want to give a quick overview before we get started about what the Young Alumni Council is. So, we are a leadership organization and we're dedicated to bridging the gap between GSU's alumni community under 40, who we call the Young Alumni, and the Alumni Association. So, what we do is we formally advise the Alumni Association as well as the Board of Directors on the interests of young alumni under 40. And we engage our young alumni by providing enriching opportunities and experiences that not only help them advance their careers in their lives, but also help the young alumni foster a lifelong relationship with GSU. So that is what we do here. And I'm going to share what our 5 pillars are really quickly. Our 5 pillars are relationship building, professional development, mentorship, ambassadorship, and community service. So those are the things that we focus on as an organization. And the purpose of Best of Blue is to just bring the best and the brightest of our GSU alumni in front of the camera who have been really successful in their careers, in their lives, so that we can hopefully learn something from them, get some advice, hopefully say something during these sessions that can help young alumni who are watching who want to achieve a similar level of success. So today we have with us Alecia Zackery, who graduated from Georgia State University with her BBS in spring of 2015. While juggling motherhood, Alecia is dedicated to reimagining traditional marketing channels through the power of visual advertising. Her day-to-day responsibility as a senior marketing strategist consists of revolutionizing ways that diverse communities think about their daily commuting. So she focuses on diversity, inclusion, realism, and accessibility. And she brings a really fresh and cultural edge to every marketing campaign that she touches. So she's here to talk to us today about navigating parenthood while maintaining a professional career. So welcome, Alecia. We're very excited to have you here um, and excited to hear your insight and to learn from you. And we're hoping that something we discussed tonight can help other young alumni who are looking to achieve similar success that you have.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much, Nina. I really appreciate the intro. And excited to speak with everyone today. Hopefully, you all understand that this conversation is for people that are across all walks of life right now, whether you are with child, that you're thinking about family planning, or you currently have a child, or maybe you're just a really supportive friend trying to figure out how to help this person that is also starting a family navigate this lifestyle. So, definitely hoping that I can add a lot of value to you all and that you have some key takeaways to share with others.
All right. Thank you, Alicia. So we're going to go ahead and get started because we want to ask you as much as we can, pick your brain, and get as much information as we can. So, starting off, as a role model for others seeking to navigate this journey, what advice would you give to someone who's just starting out on the path of combining parenthood with a successful career?
So I feel as though, first of all, really defining what type of parent you see yourself being and allowing that image or maybe a list of characteristics to kind of dictate what parenthood looks like for you is very, very, very important. So, honestly, the first step in defining parenting or parenthood is one of those things where it's very similar to me, to where it's kind of like driving, right? Where you're prepared as a driver to kind of tackle like a lot of things in life, like majority of things that you're experiencing on the road. But unplanned moments that may come up that you're not expecting are kind of the equivalent to the fine print on like their side mirror of your car, where it's like it says something about like the objects may seem closer than they appear,
Mm-hmm.
right? Something that you're like, okay, I'll look out for it, but nothing really gonna pop up on me like that. And it's like, because you're going to have these blind spots and unexpected moments that'll catch you off guard, like how do you kind of best prepare for that? So just kind of thinking about what does that look like? How do you want that to look? Because parenthood is very personal to you, right? We were all raised as different people across different spectrums, come from different communities and backgrounds. So we just honestly have to trust in ourselves and our guiding intuition to really give us the light that we need in order to be the parent that we want to be and also raise the child that we want to contribute positively into the world. So also kind of to answer like the latter part of your question, thinking about like a successful career, it's also kind of hard to define because the way of success is something that it's like one of those things that's in the eye of the beholder, right? For some people, success may look like tons of flexibility to drop everything that they're doing at any given time and support their family. While for others, it may look like, it may mean or look like working tons of crazy hours to provide for your family, but also to prove to your children that anything is possible through hard work, right? So just kind of looking at life maybe from those two lenses as an example, but then also understand that there are a lot of moral lessons that come from each perspective, and all of those things that are involved with those choices that you make really comes down to how you view your own personal values, some of your short term goals, and then maybe even your long term vision. Does that help answer your question?
Yes, I think it answers it very thoroughly. There was a lot that you talked about in there. And one thing that you talked about was trusting your own intuition as a parent. So, in addition to that, I know that, raising a child takes a village. What is it? It takes a village to raise a child. You get the point. So,
Mm-hmm.
let's talk a little bit about support systems. So, who has been your biggest source of support, whether that be your partner, your friends, your mentors? Who has been helping you the most in maintaining this delicate equilibrium between parenthood and your successful career?
I will say that's a very tricky question, and it might get me caught up depending upon who is on this call. If I start naming names and groups of people, so I'm just going to keep it as a blanket statement throughout my response. But I feel like, I like to think of my support system in like an orbital way, like the solar system, and not from really a selfish perspective, but if everything kind of, sorry, my dog is very attentive seeking right now. But not from a very selfish perspective, as if everything revolves around me and my son. But I believe that there are those who are close and those who are far away. But like, no matter their placement within our lives, like they're always around. They're always willing to help maintain my balance and structure and just kind of help navigate my purpose. As a mother, they support me and encourage me. They know that my top love language is like words of affirmation. And I do believe that that's something that really speaks volumes and allows me to navigate my way through how I'm able to um, get through everything I have going on.
Okay.
Can
Yes.
you can hear me but you can't see me?
Okay, there you are. You were frozen for just a second, but I can see you now. Cool.
Yeah, I'm gonna switch laptops, but essentially, yes, that's everything that I definitely wanted to share about that from that perspective. Um,
Okay. So then, in that same area, for the people who have friends who are parents, who have professional careers, and who are having to juggle both of them, from your experience with the people who have been supportive to you, what can we do? People who don't have children, I don't have children. So, what can we do to be more supportive of parents with professional careers? And, what resources can we offer you that will make your life easier?
I think, really assessing your friend or your family member, the person who's actually going through the experience of preparing to raise a child or raising a child currently, is honestly maybe the number one struggle of asking for help, right? Like them not understanding their voice as a parent, or understanding how to actually speak up for themselves, or maybe advocating for themselves in certain spaces, or feeling comfortable as if they can actually have that trust and vulnerability to where they can, maneuver between these different spaces and figure out kind of exactly how to say what they need, mean what they say, and then look for those gaps and places for allowing other people to fill in those spaces. Sometimes trust is a really big issue when it comes to like, this is my baby, this is my child. I'm
Yeah.
trying to make sure that I can have 10 eyes on him or her at all given times. And so it's really important to just kind of establish that baseline of trust and reassurance as a supportive friend or family member. And then also just kind of looking at it from a lens of, a big question I've heard lately from a lot of people is, how can I help? How can I best support? How can I be of assistance? It's one thing for a person to intuitively know like how to assist somebody when it comes to like digging into anticipating those needs and how to best kind of like figure out what phase of life this person is in. Like, It can be something as simple as, can I bring you food over? Can I help with your laundry? Can I take your dog for a walk? Do you need me to pick your child up for daycare? Or just kind of surprising them with a gift, maybe something that you hear them complaining about something, and then actually finding a solution for that and surprising them with that. Maybe that can feel like, it's hard for me to express myself as a parent, but I hear what you're saying. And as a friend, you can answer by saying, I hear what you're saying, and I'm listening to you. I understand like where you're coming from, even though I'm not exactly in your shoes, but I know this is important to you, so it's important to me. And so that's how you actually kind of continue to build on sharing those values as friends, for one another.
Hmm. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I will say
So,
though, like throughout my pregnancy, there were a lot of great moments that I experienced, and my friends were very, very, very helpful, along with my family members too. I had an amazing baby shower, but even some of my very close friends threw me a baby moon, and that was something that I was able to do to kind of celebrate myself and really just get an experience of what it felt like to honor who I am and the things that I enjoy doing, and make me feel like very relaxed, about the entire pregnancy journey. So just coming up with creative ways about how to like still be a fun friend while your other friend is like trying to figure out like, how am I going to be a parent? Like, how am I going to figure this thing out, right?
yeah.
So it's a lot of nerves, that come into that. But just be the person's friend, be there to listen, be there to support, be there for the shoulder to cry on, like different things like that. However they need you to show up. So yeah.
Okay. However, they need you to show up. So we need to do a lot of listening, a lot of acts of service that are tailored to the friend and not just, broad acts of service that we think somebody with a child would want.
Yeah, I mean, either way, we can, navigate that space safely with them, but just, still understand like what their preferences are.
Mhm.
Um, and it's not really that I feel like hard to understand, um, like somebody that's that has a desire to really be a good parent, giving them those resources and that level of support that they need to just really feel more confident about becoming the type of parent they want to become. I think
Mhm.
that's something that also shows like, I care, I hear you, I understand where you're coming from, those types of things.
Yeah. Okay. So some empathy. Empathy.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. Thank you for sharing that because even for those of us who are on the call who don't have children, it is important that we support the ones who do have children. So, definitely going to take that advice because I do have many friends who are working full time and, parents, and I know that it's not easy. So, thank you for sharing that advice with us.
Yeah, for sure.
So, speaking of balancing, balancing work and family can sometimes feel like walking a tightrope, I'm sure. So, can you share a pivotal moment when you realized that you needed to adjust your balance, and how did you go about doing that?
Yeah, so it's very interesting. And I hope it's okay if I share a little bit of my story, because I know that I shared this opportunity to engage with um, alumni of Georgia State, but then also I share with my family, my friends, like this opportunity to just kind of listen in and kind of soak up some experiences that they can take away with them as well. But
Yeah.
my story, I don't know if it's very unique, but it's my story, it's my testimony because it's something that I went through. So
Yep.
I want to actually provide a timeline for perspective for people to understand exactly where I came from and the different things that happened over like the span of like 12 to 18 months, leading up to where I am in my career now, and how I kind of developed like this crazy work life balance. Um, so, do you mind like if I kind of share a little bit of my story?
Please do. This is your stage. We're here to listen to you. So, please share whatever you want to share with us.
Okay, awesome. So, from I'll say so starting from like 2017 to about 2021, I was employed with the Atlanta Convention and Visitors Bureau. That's about 4.5 years. And I absolutely loved my job there. That like what I was doing was perfect for me at the time. But I ended up leaving in March of 2022. And at the time, I was probably about 3 or 4 months pregnant. And I had to leave because I got in undeniable offer to join a software technology company named Hootsuite. It's a
I know
Canadian
Hootsuite.
company.
Have a
Yeah.
certification from them.
Oh, awesome. But yeah, so I was able to join the company and it was kind of too good to be true, right? Like it was this amazing onboarding process. All the employees are great. They had all these employee resource groups, different things that allowed me to feel connected. Like I had this space and opportunity to really grow and develop with the company. Um, and I ended up like, getting my footing there after about 3 months there on the job. My son was born in June, which started the mark of like my maternity leave.
Right.
So a couple months passed by, and now we fast forward to August, and I found out through LinkedIn that Hootsuite did a massive layoff. And so on September 21st, that was like my first day back at work. And I logged onto my computer, looked at my calendar, it was completely empty, and I was laid off within an hour. So I was like, oh my gosh, like I kind of expected it, but I really didn't expect it. And I was like, I don't necessarily have a plan B per se,
Mhm.
because I'm, postpartum, 3 months into the journey, really trying to figure out how I'm going to get back into work. I wasn't really ready to start back working yet because I'm like, this is all still new to me. I'm not getting any sleep. I'm barely eating, don't have an appetite, and I'm still trying to jump back into work full force. And so, that the end of September definitely marked the beginning of my self-employed maternity leave, which lasted another 2 months. So at
Oh,
this time, my son is 5 months old, and it's enjoyable to spend time with him, but I'm still trying to figure out, okay, once my healthcare coverage expires, like what am I going to do? Because he has this month checkup, like we both have to go back to the doctor and get some things done.
mhm.
And so I actually came across a job opportunity to where I'm actually working now at Urban Trans, and that negotiation process was something that was super pivotal for my career because I was able to interview and really speak to my skill set, the different things that I valued, different things that were very important to me. And then I also asked a ton of questions, right?
Yeah.
Related to processes, systems, different things that I felt like were going to help me best navigate the space in order to feel like I can do my job and still be a parent.
Mhm.
Things that weren't going to stress me out while I'm on the clock, right?
Mhm.
Things I wouldn't have to do after I got off work. So I
Yeah.
thought about those things throughout my interview process. And I also asked up front, I'm like, hey, do you have an overview of your perks and benefits that you can provide for me? What does the salary increase look like throughout the term of employment, whether it's like within the first 3 to 6 months? Do you all do kind of like the yearly assessment where performance review time frame? What does that increase in pay look like? Because naturally, you think about in the times now that we're living, cost of living is very expensive. And so thinking about, like how many mouths do you have to feed and what is my financial plan, now that I'm going to have to account for a lot of variable costs that I
Yeah.
didn't have before.
Yeah.
And so, speaking up for yourself is something that I say is very important for a parent to understand, whether you're a male or female, understanding how to actually navigate that space of the art of conversation up front, either before you're accepting a job offer or while you're in that space of like, okay, I already have this job. I've been on the job for 3 years. Now that I'm becoming a parent, we need to have some conversations about, are there opportunities for growth for me? Does this
Right.
mean that I'm able to kind of expand my salary if I take on these extra courses, if I earn another degree, if I'm able to assume a new position? Like, have those conversations up front and kind of lead with integrity first about honestly speaking to yourself and your priorities.
Mhm.
I think it's also very important. But, in the end, I feel like there's a series of events that's really going to show how everything is completely out of your control. Anything can impact your life in a positive or negative way and
Mhm.
alter your career plans
Mhm.
at any given moment. So I really thought I had everything figured out. I had everything lined up. I
Yeah.
just knew my salary was set for the year, with Hootsuite, and then having to take a pay cut to go to my new employer, it was definitely an adjustment. And to
Yeah.
figure out how to navigate that space with or without support from my partner was definitely something that definitely like allowed me to figure out what's within my capacity. So then I had this conversation with myself about like, what does work life balance look like? What does my hours look like? What does this structure kind of provide me with the flexibility that I need to do to get things done?
Mm-hmm.
And so I started with Urban Trans part time, like right after Thanksgiving, and then I ramped up and went full time January 1st of this year.
Okay.
So I was definitely grateful to have that conversation with my employer about my capacity and my workload.
Mm-hmm.
I know that's not the case for everybody. It's a very small company. So even thinking about on a larger scale, what does that conversation look like with that type of employer or recruiter or people person? So,
Mm-hmm.
just kind of leading with ethics was my strategy and not not really allowing some of those conflicts and different things that I was unsure about, like having to finesse, right? I feel like having to finesse is one of those things where you can sometimes take advantage of and be proud about finessing. But then also think about what the strategy behind either you taking the high route of like your moral code and honoring what that looks like versus honestly like speaking up and saying, this is what I deserve, this is what I value, these things are important to me. And you honestly don't know. There may be concerns that you have with an employer where they're more excited to hire you to advocate for you within this space, and there were things that they weren't thinking about before because nobody else raised those concerns. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I will say for dads that are trying to be more supportive of the mother and the family during these months of like having a newborn, I think it's important to understand like you can fight for more paternity leave time, like really be flexible with that as well. But there's just a lot of things that I feel like I had to do a lot of research on and better understand what ways I can actually speak to different things that are important to me enough for me to feel like I have a really solid control over my schedule and how things run within my household and at work as well. Thought that was a long one to answer, but yeah.
No, I appreciate the amount of detail that you're giving, and I'm looking down every now and then, but I'm taking notes. Okay.
Okay.
People don't talk about paternity leave,
Yeah,
and
they don't. I
yeah,
mean, honestly, I feel like Georgia is one of those at will employment states. I don't feel like it. It's a fact. They're an at will employment state,
yeah,
and that doesn't go into the favor of the employee. So it's up to the employer to create really great and fair opportunities for women and people that are even fostering, children. Like
yeah.
those things are also more common and important now as well. Um, I can be transparent about my agreement with Hootsuite because they're a Canadian company. They were establishing their office in Atlanta, and I actually sought assistance from my doula at the time, and then also Kavana McAnuff. She's an HR professional that is really great within this space. And my doula, Kimberly, she's also within the HR space as well. But they both gave me very solid advice about what to do and how to answer and how to respond to a 20-page contract for me to sign before I was able to start my job with Hootsuite and navigating what does my leave look like. And so with Georgia, they only most companies are pretty flexible with the amount of pay that they give you during your leave, but the timing is also something that is a part of the fine print because federally or at the state level, I double check me on this, but I really do believe it's only 6 weeks that they allow a mother to heal and then come back to work. Right? That's not really possible.
There's
um,
even like
and
a C-section or something. Oh,
Exactly right. You need more time to heal from that. So it does take about 8 to 10, even 12 weeks at a time to really just fully heal from that before you can get clearance from your doctor to resume working. But even some employers pay at 20% of your full pay, 40% of your full pay. And that's still no way to really properly raise a family. So you're thinking about all the things you have to pay for leading up to the birth of your child, including the childbirth itself, and then how to support this child as you're on maternity leave with a very small fraction of your pay. But
yeah.
I was able to negotiate with Hootsuite where I was actually paid at 100% pay during my entire time of the full 3 months. So I was just extremely grateful for that. And, even the bright side of things is that I was looking at um, the way in which things turned out, even though I got let go after after my maternity leave. I said, well, maybe I was only supposed to have that job, during the time that I was pregnant. So I could actually save up and spend more time with my child after I got laid off. So I just try to find the bright side of things, even though it did take a negative turn. Um,
Yeah,
but yeah, so
it's a good lesson on positivity, seeing the bright side of things.
no, for sure.
Because why not? Okay. Well, thank you for giving us some information about that and about balancing the work and the family. So, in addition to balancing, we also know that quality time is important with the family. So, could you give us some creative examples of activities or rituals that you've established with your child to ensure that you're fully engaged? Or not your child, but your family, to ensure that you're fully engaged when you're spending time with your loved ones?
Yeah, for sure. So I really kind of include my friends and family within the same bucket because they've been a part of my life for such a long time. So they, to me, get an equal amount of space and opportunity to spend time with me, my son, my dog. And so I put them all into a really big bucket. And when it comes to kind of like dividing up my time and how I choose to connect with them, I do try to leave my weekends open, even though I do have a second job. When I have the opportunity to kind of spend time with them, I'll ask, hey, is it okay if Jai, that's my son's name, I say, hey, is it okay if Jai comes? He's with me today. If not, that's fine. I appreciate the invite. Or sometimes I do offer up opportunities to where we can all hang out and do something fun and engaging so they can spend time with me and my son. And I do remember kind of creating a really fun space for my parents as well because before I placed my son in daycare, my dad watched my son pretty much every day while I worked. And so I took him and my dad and my mom to a Braves game, which my son also went to, and that was so much fun. And then I also took them to a Hawks game. So it was a really fun opportunity for us to kind of just have a night out in the town, do something different, but also show my gratitude and appreciation for free daycare. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so before we go on to our next question, I just want to speak to the viewers really quickly. In a couple minutes, we are going to give viewers an opportunity to ask Alecia some questions. So if there's anything you've heard throughout the time that we've been talking and you had a question about it, or you have your questions that you already came with, please make sure you put those in the chat because you will have an opportunity to ask them in just a few minutes. So go ahead and get those in if you have some. All right, so let's talk about work guilt, which
Uh-oh.
I've heard is a very real thing for parents, especially parents of young children who are in professional careers. So, many working parents struggle with guilt when they're away from their children for work commitments. So, how do you personally tackle this guilt and ensure that it doesn't overshadow your professional pursuits?
That's honestly tough because I feel work guilt like all the time. I miss my son when I'm away from him. It doesn't matter if I'm in the shower. I walk to the mailbox and I leave him inside watching, Miss Rachel. Like I miss my son all the time. Even when he sleeps, sometimes I do wake up and just watch him on the baby monitor. Like, man, you're an amazing kid. Like I don't know how I could be separated from you at all. But I do know the reality of things is that we need time apart from one another to actually grow and miss each other and just kind of continue to observe one another. And to be honest, birthing my son really struck a chord in me that it reminded me like I was too comfortable and I wasn't really going hard enough. And so some of those challenges that I kind of named earlier, like throughout my transitional careers of, hopping from job to job to job for various reasons, um, it really allowed me to be grateful for them because it helped me to become more risky with my decision to bet on myself, not just for where I am right now in my career, but my next career move into entrepreneurship. So just kind of thinking about the different sacrifices I'm making right now, working two jobs, a full-time job and a part-time job, and being away from my son, majority of the time, it makes me appreciate those moments that I have with him in different ways. Like I
Mm-hmm.
look at him differently, I observe him differently, I cherish him differently. Like, we're locked in. Me and Jai, like, we're very locked in. But I also know that the sacrifices I'm making right now to do all of these different things is definitely going to help me to be more present when it matters, like when he starts to fully communicate and he has sentences and not just expressions or emotions. Like, I want to be present for those moments. So having that pivotal career plan that I'm looking forward to kind of helps to dial down some of that work guilt I feel every day. I
Yeah.
mean, it even came down to where, like, I was so distraught and really sad. I was working my second job on the weekend, and one night my son started walking when he was with my parents. And
Oh.
I cried when I was at work. My parents sent me a video and I said, I missed it. I'm a
Oh
terrible
my
parent.
goodness.
Like, you immediately start to like think like, oh my gosh, how could I not be there in this
Yeah.
moment? But it's like I was texting my friends and some of my family members, like how I was feeling. And they're like encouraging me about the moment. Like, it's okay, you're gonna get another one, like it's fine. And I appreciate them for the support, and I'm also like, okay, I want to be there. I want to be there more. So yeah, work guilt is real. It doesn't go away. But I do process it and I think about how to continue to move forward in a different capacity for the next time. Um yeah, so
Okay, well, real quick, I just want to give you a quick word of encouragement about that because it's something that my mother and I have discussed before because she had 6 children while she was working full time. And so
Ooh.
I remember her saying that this is what people were telling her when she was missing special moments like this. And it's not that you're not there for your child, it's that you're there for him in a different way. So even though you're not there with him, watching him take his first steps, maybe you're at work paying for him so, he can wear some shoes when it's time for him to start walking. So he can wear clothes when it's cold outside, stuff like that. So it's not that you're not there for him and you're this horrible parent. It's that you just have to be there in a lot of different ways. And that means that you have to miss some things. But, it's just sacrifice. So I know that you know that. But I just wanted to give you a little bit of encouragement because I'm sure you know this by now, but you're definitely not a horrible parent.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. I'm trying not to tear up too because
Oh,
it's just still, a lot that you have to process, a lot of decisions that are very important that you have to make. And that was one thing that I started to do was to go to therapy and really seek help and guidance through my decision making and help myself to believe that based off of my morals and values, I am making the right decisions. I
mhm.
am leading myself and my son down the right path based off of the different things that I choose to prioritize or allow myself to feel is important at the time. So
Right.
I just wanted to kind of like really be transparent in this conversation because we're all just humans. Like, we were created as humans, right? And thinking about how we can best support ourselves, best support our best support our families, best support, our friends. Like, we're still serving in all these different roles and having these different responsibilities. Like, all these things matter, and it's important for us to feel like we're doing our best, that we're giving our all, not to the point that we're like burnt out, because I've been feeling that lately. Like, I'm just so freaking tired and I'm always rushing and I'm always burnt out. But going through those different therapy sessions, specifically with BetterHelp, I know some people may already have a therapist, but and for those that don't and they think that maybe they want to get started with a platform, I would recommend BetterHelp because you're able to place your priorities and different preferences and to be matched with a therapist. And you can still consult with a therapist before your first session starts to feel like, okay, this is the right person. This may not be the right person for me until you find that perfect one. I will say the support team at BetterHelp is also really good. You would think this is like an advertisement, right? But no, this is for real. And I don't have a discount code. Oh, sorry, Nina, you're on mute. But I do feel like it's
Thank you.
that was definitely my friends are texting me at the same time as I'm talking and said, better help give my girl a discount code.
That's exactly what I was saying when I was on mute.
Sponsorship.
I'm like, you need to get sponsored. Hmm.
Yeah, so I really feel like, therapy was very helpful in helping me understand who I am as a person, helping me to remind myself of positive self talk and getting through tough moments of figuring out like, am I doing the right thing? Am I caring about the right cause? Am I really helping to understand like what I really desire? And I will say this too. I don't know if I said this before already, but BetterHelp prioritizes your work life as well. So it's not just talking about your personal problems, but they do specifically check in with you about where you are professionally and within your career. So most of the questions that they ask you are going to, in one way or another, resort back to how you feel as a parent. So the first time that I was in therapy was in January, and that was with a female therapist, and we really talked through some of my postpartum issues and different things that I was navigating as I was getting back into the workforce and trying to get within this space of like being comfortable, not making excuses, really showing up and being like a positive representation of myself as I'm building my reputation at this new company in this new space and like trying to work hard but not overwork myself,
Mm-hmm.
and just thinking about how um, I can show up and but not do too much, So I think within that space, she helped me to identify how I was in survival mode.
Yeah.
Right, like coming off of unemployment for 2 months, supporting myself, like really figuring out, like, oh my goodness, how am I going to get back into work and do this very well?
Yeah.
So getting out of survival mode into creative mode, which allowed me to then create a safe space for myself, and then also think about how to continue dreaming, like getting back into that dreaming phase of like, okay, this is where I see me and my son. This is a happy space. Like, not something that's just like too like I don't know if lucid is the word, but like unrealistic, but like understanding that I am the creator within this canvas space, and I
Yeah.
still have the power to dictate how things will navigate within my future. So
Yeah.
girl, like snap out of your depression, like
Mm-hmm.
get over this, get over that. Like you have to move forward and create your plan.
Mm-hmm.
So so yeah, so I am just, switching from that therapist into a new therapist this summer, and figuring out some other challenges now that I'm facing. Like these are seasonal things, like we are progressionally thinking about within our career space every quarter, right? And even if you're in the space of like understanding how at work you should have your own personal OKRs, like objective key results. You want to have your own personal OKRs so you understand like where you are, where you started, and at the end of the quarter, have I achieved these goals personally for myself, right? And then
Yeah.
also understanding like on an emotional scale, financial scale, the spiritual scale, like how am I aligning these different things that I'm like tracking myself against to understand where I need to go next. And
Yeah.
maybe it's not that you're too hard on yourself, but you're just really trying to figure out like, how do I belong in this space? How do I
Mm-hmm.
figure out where to go next? And am I really measuring myself appropriately to get to where I want to be?
Yeah.
I actually learned about this concept today, and I didn't have enough time to do a deep dive into it. But essentially, the concept, and y'all can look it up, is called The Gap and the Gain. And it's actually a book that's who is this by? Benjamin Hardy and Dan Sullivan. So I will be like doing a deeper dive into that. But basically it goes into how you visualize different things from start to an achieve level to an ideal state. And excuse me, within the gap section of this, you are measuring yourself between the achieved state and the ideal state, but in a negative perspective. You're looking at yourself from failure, frustration, disappointment, like your low self esteem, you're having guilt, and you're going through depression, right? Versus you looking at things from an opposite perspective of the gain side of your brain, which is still visualizing those three key areas: ideal, achieved, and starting. But you're actually measuring yourself from starting to that achieved state. And you're looking at yourself more successfully. You're satisfied with your results. You're confident. You have high self esteem. You're enjoying the different things that you're doing, and you see things optimistically. So I think that's also what my therapist was getting at earlier in the year was, you're in survival mode. You got to get out of that and
Yeah.
step into like your dream state, like where you want to be creatively, and just kind of allow yourself to navigate from there.
That was awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that. Listen, that works in all areas of life. Okay.
For sure.
That's very valuable.
Yeah.
All right, so we have a couple of questions from our viewers. So the first
Okay.
one is, what does self-care look like for you as a full-time working parent with a small child?
Not gonna lie to y'all. Y'all see my hair not done.
I
Like,
I didn't realize. I really didn't. I thought it was just pulled back. I'm just
yeah,
saying.
and that's honestly 90% of the time my hair is gonna be pulled back into a ponytail. Like, I wish I had more time to like really pamper myself and like get my hair done, get my nails done, get a pedicure, like things that help me to relax and unwind, take myself away from my house where I'm constantly with my dog or constantly with my child. My parents do allow me that space and opportunity to just kind of drop him off and go do those things, but it's very seldom. I will say things at home that I can do is put my son to bed. Sometimes I come downstairs and I'll watch a show for like an hour at night and just like really enjoy myself on the couch, relaxing, maybe eat my favorite dessert. And then also on the opposite end, I take baths more often now, which is really good just to help me kind of unwind, like slow my mind down, just to kind of like close my eyes and think and reflect and do some things that are just kind of like, okay, I feel like I'm taking care of my body, right? So just little things. It's nothing really extravagant. Um, I used to love to travel, and I feel like that was my happy space. That was my self care. That was me exploring and exposing myself, like culturally, to different things and having those experiences.
Mhm.
Um, Everything I feel like now for me and my son is definitely expensive to do, but I do plan to expose him more to those things that I enjoy as well so that he can enjoy them. I feel like we're the same person, so he'll enjoy it.
Who doesn't enjoy travel? I'm sure there's somebody, but they're
Right.
strange. They're strange if they don't enjoy travel. Okay, thank you for that. And then, second question from the audience: what are some things I should start lining up in my career if I'm planning to have kids within the next 2 to 3 years? Is there any pre-planning advice that you can give?
Whew. It's a really good question. If that person does have the opportunity or time to kind of talk about where they are in their career right now, just give a short answer as to where they are. If they're in the entry level phase, like that medium, like managerial phase, or if they're kind of like director level or above, I think that definitely makes a difference with the answer that I would be giving.
Okay.
But I think in the standard way of thinking, you're never going to be fully prepared for being a parent. I wasn't planning to get pregnant. It was definitely not on my radar. I wasn't trying for a child. I didn't even know if I wanted to have kids, like honestly. But I think having my child allowed me to see how to be a parent. I already knew that if I did have a child one day, I would probably try to outbeat my mother, like as a mom. Like I'm trying to like outdo her times 10 on everything. And everybody that knows my mom knows that she is like the nicest, sweetest like lady who like always smiles and like really does this thing. Like she befriends my friends and like everything. So but honestly, I feel like I'm just my own person. I think that you find what you value as to be most important when you're preparing for parenthood, in different ways as to like what's important for you right now. I honestly feel like saving. I'm a big saver. I love to save money. So finances were at the very top list for me. Um, I saved up a lot of money before I got laid off of my job with Hootsuite.
Mm-hmm.
And it allowed me the opportunity to think like, oh, okay, I can actually like be out of work for 6 months and be okay,
Yeah.
before having to look for another job.
Mm-hmm.
But then I said, well, the smarter thing is to do is to keep my 6 months worth of savings and then still like stack on top of that. So let me go back out and get another job. um, I when I found out I was pregnant, I read so many articles. Like I literally was not getting any sleep. I drove myself crazy. I was telling my doula, like, hey, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to think about. I tapped into all these different resources like online for parenting and mothers and fathers, like even giving my partner some different resources to look at as well. Um, but I realized that there are not enough articles to read. There are not enough books to read. Like they're helpful, but don't drive yourself crazy looking at those different things, trying to prepare and plan. I would recommend getting um, a doula that is going to support you and your voice and be an advocate for you, that will provide the services that you need in order to make sure that you are heard and seen and felt, um, that will challenge you to think differently, whether they are a parent or not. But just learn how to trust them within that space. Even if you don't have a doula, but you're thinking about doing a natural birth and
Mhm.
you want to have a midwife, there are some really great midwives within the Atlanta area as well, who come from a very great network and allow you also those same opportunities to think about how you can navigate the birthing process, parenting before and after. Like, they'll give you those right resources to make you just feel really comfortable about your experience overall. I still keep in touch with my doula to this day, just because she'll always be my doula. But she was also my HR professional before she became my doula, and I trusted her decision making, and the different things that she introspectively helped me to figure out, like different types of wisdom that she provided, even within my career path. All those things are very, very, very helpful. So I would just say, yeah, definitely get your finances. Don't go over exhaustive on resources, and get you a doula or a midwife to help with that process, for birth.
Okay. Thank you so much for all that detail. I hope that the viewer got what they were looking for. I got some stuff I wasn't even looking for, so thank you.
Of course.
All right, we're getting to our last few minutes. So I want to do a quick wrap up, but really quickly, um, I want to ask a question about parents looking to get higher education. So we know that you are a mother and you also graduated with your bachelor's degree, and so you've navigated the unique challenges of parenting while maintaining a full-time career. So what advice would you give a parent who is thinking of pursuing higher education in addition to working full-time?
I would just say timing is everything. I actually have a really good friend on the call. She's a really good friend of mine and also family, and she was just named assistant principal of our middle school, North Clay Middle School, the Morgan Rainwater.
Hey.
I was so excited to support her in that moment because she actually had a son 2 or 3 months right after I had mine. And so she's actually like within her son, like becoming one, like turning one, in a couple of weeks. She's been in higher education, like working in school and then also finishing up her degree. And I'm like, girl, how are you doing this? Like, you got your partner, you got your baby, you're a track coach, you're a cheerleading coach. Like, what? I'm like, how? I'm like, I could never, right? But I think it's all about timing and the direct and immediate support that you have and the people that are within your corner. I've absolutely thought about going back to get my master's and also getting other certifications that would help further my career in different areas that I feel like I wanted to go. And I just feel like it really comes down to timing, and that you feel like you're in a good financial position as well. There are a lot of scholarship opportunities out there that can take that load off of you to feel like you don't have to have that burden or like stress on you.
Mhm.
So definitely tap into those resources. And Nina, I'll also give you the opportunity now to even talk about maybe some of the opportunities that Georgia State has,
Yeah.
for parents that also are kind of navigating that rough space with people that have children,
Mhm.
and how to do school at the same time.
Yeah, thank you for reminding me of that because that is something that we want to share with everybody. So, GSU does have family housing that's located in the lofts. So that's for, families or even so like families either that are married or that are not married who want to live on campus and want to take classes. And so this is just an easier way to be able to take classes. So you can indicate on your application for housing that you need family housing. And then once you've contacted university housing, you'll fill out the lost family housing authorized occupants form, and you'll provide a copy of the child's birth certificate and or the marriage certificate for the married residents. And so that's something I've known friends who have stayed in the lost family housing, and that's been really helpful. Proximity has been really helpful in allowing them to pursue their educational goals, so that we don't have to uh, put that on the back burner. Because I know as parent, oh, I'm not a parent, but I'm sure that parents often have to put their goals and their dreams on the back burner to make sure that their kid has what they need. So that's one resource that we have. And there is a link that I'm going to drop in the chat that has more information about that if there is anybody who's looking for those types of options.
Yeah, I think that's phenomenal to pay attention to those different types of resources. So if you're on the call and really want to take advantage of that, or if you need help or support finding a doula, please contact me and I can put you in touch with my doula as well. But I will say, even in your employer search, if you're completely fine with your employer right now, you feel like you'll have the amount of support that you need in order to, number one, get tuition reimbursement or some type of support with higher education with them, that's great. But then also, if you feel like, I don't think my employer would be as supportive of me right now, I'm experiencing a lot of conflict, this isn't the best space for me to actually start my family while I'm working here. It's completely, it's just not healthy, it's toxic.
Yeah.
And you want to get out of that space, look for different employers and talk to recruiters and ask them what they have to offer. You can look for certain things that really allow you the space to like be comfortable about asking those questions. I know specifically Chick-fil-A, the home office, and like off of Buffington Road, they do have a daycare center. So a lot of those employees have the opportunity to bring their child to work with them, and they send them to the daycare on campus. They work their shift, they pick their child up and go home. I mean, it couldn't be more convenient than that, right? So
Yeah.
just kind of looking for those different things and ways that you can create a life of ease. That's where I'm at with my life right now. Creating a
Mhm.
life of ease. Not that everything is going to be easy, but that it's more convenient for me to process the way in which I do things and how I navigate things for myself, my son, and my dog. Like that's what we got going on in the household, and that's what we doing. So yeah, just I'll also name a few other things that you all can think about as you're fighting and advocating for yourself as a parent, taking on some of these new challenges and costs. Even if you feel like you don't have the salary that you need, you can find an employer with benefits that will offset some of those costs that you will be paying out of pocket if you did make 100K and you only made 80. So kind of help subsidizing like those different things that would be more beneficial to you, such as like dependent insurance coverage, having a mental health stipend to help pay for your therapy or different services that you need, a flexible workplace policy or flexible scheduling within like your immediate department. Those
Mhm.
things are very helpful. Commuter benefits, so like how you get to work back and forth, seeing if that's something they will be able to pay for. Tuition reimbursement, like different learning resources, certification support, donation matching. I think is also very important, but not at the high of certain employers list. If your child is born with like a different defect or a special cause that you want to contribute to, if you raise a foundation in your child's name, I think that's also something and a way for your company to better support you. And of course, bonuses, right? Like we
Yeah.
all need bonuses. We all deserve bonuses.
Yes.
So yeah, yeah. But that's all I had to share. I think that Oh, I'm sorry. Did you have any other questions? Look at
Oh,
me trying to take over the
no, girl. No,
conversation.
your stage. Your stage.
No, I was just gonna say, I think that I'm very grateful for this opportunity. Thank you so much, Javon Page, for allowing me the space to come in here and speak to everybody on the call today. Speak to Georgia State, like the family. We definitely bleed blue together. Most of my closest friends come from Georgia State. So I'm really grateful to be in this space, to have everyone's ears and really provide hopefully some valuable insight or things that you haven't heard about before, things that you haven't thought about before, and that way you're able to kind of navigate your career and also parenthood from here. So I'm very excited to continue the conversation with you all offline via LinkedIn or Instagram. I'm an open book, so definitely ask me questions if you have any more. But
Yes,
yeah,
her
thank you.
information is on the screen below us. So please write that down, screenshot it, take a picture of it, do whatever you have to do to make sure that you can reach her if you need to. You can also reach her through the GSU, the Yak Instagram page. So GSU underscore YAC. It does have her contact information. If you want to ask her any questions, we are so, so grateful to have you here. Like, this has been really
Yeah,
exciting, really
of
good
course.
information. I mean, I know I've been taking notes, and I hope that everybody else has been, because this has been a really great learning opportunity, whether you're a parent or not. So we really just appreciate you taking your time to come here and talk to us. And this is what Best of Blue is all about. So Thank you so much for being here. And you can also, I don't think I introduced myself earlier, but I'm an alumni of Georgia State University from 2021 with my Bachelor of Music Education in 2023 with my Master of Business Administration. So I'm a member of the Young Alumni Council, and we do Best of Blue a few times a year where we bring in our alumni, the best of our alumni, and we get advice and insight about that. So make sure that you follow our Instagram page on GSU_YAC. We have a lot of events that we have coming up, and also apply for membership. I can't remember exactly. Visit the Instagram page. We have all the information that you need about that. But you can also visit the Alumni Association website if you want to learn more about YAC. But thank you, Alecia, for being here. We have thoroughly enjoyed having you here and learning more about you. And you've taught me a lot, I know. And I'm sure that you've given a lot of valuable information to the viewers here. So thank you so
Perfect.
much for
It's
being
such a pleasure. And I look forward to bringing my son with me to some of these events. So,
here. Yes,
parents, don't shy away from bringing your kids out to the events. I think that it'll be a great opportunity to get them involved as well. So, thank you so much again for having me. I appreciate it.
absolutely. We have members who have children and they bring their children to the event sometimes. So like children are welcome. Anybody who wants to come, please come out. We will be happy to have anybody who wants to come. So thank you.
Awesome.
All right. Make sure you contact her if you have any extra questions. All right. Good night, everybody. Thank you.
Good night.